I'm Tammy Wade.
I'm Kent Wade.
I'm 61, he's 62.
Oh, so he's older.
Yes, he is. And I have survived uterine cancer.
Congratulations.
So, thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you. Yes.
How many years out?
10 years.
That's huge. That is like a milestone right there, right?
It
like
is.
a 10-year.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's my 10 year this year. When I finished up with my radiation and then got to my 5-year point, the cancer center that I went to, which is in Eugene, and my doctor, who was absolutely amazing, threw me a party and sent me home with a big certificate and a t-shirt. And then I see her every year up until this year, which is my 10th year. And now I don't have to go back for another 5 years, so
Awesome.
I'm good. Yeah.
Wow. I can see the smile. I mean, look how happy. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. We survived a lot.
Yes.
And tomorrow is our anniversary. So
The anniversary. How many years?
40.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Oh, that's right, because she's doing a party.
Yes,
Yeah.
she is.
Okay.
Yes, our daughter's throwing us
We're
an
gonna
amazing. We're gonna renew our vows. Yeah.
Oh,
So
I love it.
So
how did you find out that you had uterine cancer?
I was working.
He's chuckling, but like, I like another story here.
It's a whole nother ball game because I was working for Fred Meyer, same company that Cassie works for.
So was I at the time.
And so was Kent at the time. And I was a manager, and I worked a ton of hours and did a lot of lifting. I was a service deli manager, and had some female problems. A lot of bleeding. Did not know what it meant. But I was getting up there in years because I'm 61 now, and this was 10 years ago, so I was like 51.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought like it was a menopausal thing. And then went in for a physical with my regular doctor. And then she thought everything was okay, put me on something to help with my bleeding. And then the following week, she called me, and we were on our way into town to get our dogs groomed. And she said, I need you to turn around, come to this doctor's office, Dr. Garrett's office, and you need to talk to her right now, right this minute.
Do what she says.
Do what she says.
We had no idea.
And we had no idea.
That's how we found out.
That is how we found out. So, yeah. And so when we got
was
there,
there a test though? Like back up for a minute, because I don't know. I'm not very well versed in like uterine cancer. So like you just described your symptoms, and then how did she know it was a bigger problem?
well, she had run evidently she ran some blood work.
Oh, okay.
And so because I had so much bleeding, and when she ran the blood work, they evidently found out that some of the cells were cancerous, and she didn't say that to me because she didn't quite know how far things had progressed.
Right.
And so she ended up talking to the specialist, which was my OBGYN surgeon, and she called me into we went to her office. And
did you go also?
Yes, he was there.
Our
right
two dogs
there
were out in the parking structure because we were taking them down. She said, stop what you're doing, go now.
Yeah.
And that's what we were like, something's wrong.
This was on a Friday.
Of course it was. Like the best news comes on a Friday, so that you can be worried all weekend. Like
went into Dr. Garrett's office. She said, you have one of the most cancerous uteruses I have ever seen. Yeah.
Just from the blood work? She
Just
could tell
from the
that?
blood work, yes. And said, I'm going to do surgery on Monday. So
We found out Friday, we had surgery Monday.
Friday, she scheduled me for 7
That's
o'clock.
how much time we had to
you
prepare.
can't even process.
No, we didn't.
I was in shock still while she was having the surgery.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was in shock the whole time.
Yeah.
The C word had never come into focus with me. I was like you were saying, I thought I had been doing everything right because I had lost over 150 pounds. I had been very heavy for a really long time, which was one of the reasons why my cancer was so bad. And so basically, I thought, okay, I'm eating good now, I'm exercising, I'm doing all of this stuff right. And then like I said, I just had these, and I would have these massive bleeding at work, which just would be like whoosh, and I would be getting up from sitting somewhere and there would just be these big blood clots, and I knew that was not normal. And so, so did the surgery. had 3 adult children at the time.
And they all were
One
there.
still in college, and the other 2, one of them had just gotten married, was on the verge of just getting married, and we called them, and we said, this is what's happening, you know, if you guys can be here, you can be here. All of them showed up.
For Monday's surgery?
For my surgery. Just on a couple days' notice, which was awesome.
Yeah.
And one of them was going to school in Newburgh at the time, which was 2 hours away. So
She drove down for it.
She drove down, and then it was a very long surgery. Everybody was really worried.
Is it typically long? Is that like...
Well, they said it should take 2 to 3 hours, and at hour 4, they finally called us in to say, you know, they said, you have to go see the doctor in this room. And I'm like, I'm freaking out because it was longer than they said.
Yeah.
And she says, oh, everything went fine. I just was trying to get something to show you. And they called us into this room, just away from everybody. Everybody else, they come in and talk to you
I
right
was
there.
still in recovery.
But we got pulled off to the side in a separate room, and we were like, what's going on? You know, why are you pulling us? Well, she flipped on the screen, and this is what a normal uterus looks like. And it was pink, and you know, he said, here's your wife's, and it showed the closed uterine. It was twice the size. And then he said, this is what the uterus looks like open. It was nice and big. They flipped hers open. It was fluorescent yellow, the entire uterus. He said 99.99% of the cancer was still inside. He said if that would have ruptured, it would have killed you.
So it hadn't really spread, which was amazing.
That's how close it was.
Yeah, I was thanking God for my surgeon every day. And she was so wonderful because she was so cautious, because they found a few spots on my bladder because it's so close to where the cancer of my uterus was, that she recommended radiation. And so went to the oncologist after I healed up. What people don't realize about uterine cancer, though, is it's a very, it's like you do have a hysterectomy, don't get me wrong. But it's just, there's so
and the
many.
hysterectomy is all the parts, or like...
Yes,
Okay.
everything. They take out everything, which is fine. But when you're dealing with a cancerous uterus, you have a lot of tubes to make sure that all of the organs around that don't get infected. So you got antibiotics going in, antibiotics coming out. For about a month, I was wrapped up tighter than a drum with these tubes hanging out.
That were draining.
Oh,
that were draining.
yes.
So yeah.
Drains.
So
how many drains did you have for this?
I had 4. So yeah.
And they were 2 healed up right away, so she pulled them out.
Which is the weirdest feeling when you pull them out.
Oh,
I
know.
It's
Yes.
like
Oh,
that. Each tube was that far inside her body.
Yeah.
And finally, with the one visit, the doctor goes, "Okay." She pulled out another one. She says, "That one's not quite ready. On Monday, I want you to pull it out." And I had to pull the last tube out myself. And that was like, "Does that hurt?" You should know. And I'm like, "Okay." And you know, I had to pull the last. But she healed up.
He was so good. He was so good during the whole thing. I mean, I couldn't ask for anything more because he was so understanding about everything, and it was so quick.
Well, I almost lost you.
And it was just amazing. It was great, and my family was very supportive, so it was good. And my son that was just getting married, and they got married, and I was still kind of recovering, and then I started my radiation therapy, and I had 36 sessions of external and 5 sessions of internal.
Oh, okay. So is the internal when they put like the ball
inside? And,
okay.
Yeah.
And how was that?
Tube.
Was there?
That was very an eye opener. We'll just put it that way. You learn. I learned very quickly that nothing can embarrass you.
Oh no.
When you have uterine cancer, because all of your female parts are exposed when you're in radiation, no matter what you do.
They have you sit in this little form on a table and they just zap you.
Yeah, and then when they do the internal, it's like you're having a baby. And they just have a mechanical arm with like you said, a ball in, and it comes in, goes in a little tube, goes in you. Yeah. You sit there for about 45 minutes while it kind of cooks you. And then...
she's still my radiator.
Yeah, I still have days where...
You know, literally, I can be asleep and she can just snuggle up and I can feel you can feel the heat coming off her body, and it's not natural heat. You can feel all that radiation. That's just.
I think the hardest thing about the radiation was that on the outside I looked okay. So people didn't really understand what was going on because they would look at me and they would go, like I didn't go back to work because the fatigue was so bad. But I would go in and see how my crew and everything was doing, and they all thought that I was okay. But on the inside, you're just like, you're radiating.
It took a couple of years for her to get her strength back.
Yeah, and you're fatigued all the time. And that was my biggest thing because I'm a very high energy person.
Yeah,
and so the fatigue,
lovely.
Yeah, the fatigue was really hard for me to deal with. So, but, and then I think one of the hardest things was I had loved my job, and I was told that I could go back to my job, but my doctor didn't want me to go back 100%.
Conflict.
And there was a conflict with what my contract had said I could do and what my doctor said I could do.
They wanted her to work, coming back unrestricted, 45 hours a week, doing everything she was doing before. The doctor said no, she can only be standing no more than 5 hours a week.
5 hours a day.
And no more than 20 hours a week.
Right.
And so there was no middle ground.
There was no middle ground, really?
So we parted company. So, which for me was really hard.
Of course.
But
you would, I'm sorry, but I'm surprised that if you're getting like a doctor's note, you had cancer, you should be protected under ADA to be able to.
Well, you learn a lot of that after you've gone through it.
Yes.
There was a lot of stuff I didn't know that I found out afterwards that I probably should have fought, but because I had always put the company that I worked for first, I knew that I couldn't do the job that they expected me to do, and so I just kind of bowed out gracefully, which was fine. Yeah. I mean, when one window closes, God opens another door. I mean, that's just the way that we believe, and it put me in touch with a whole bunch of greater stuff that came later on, but at the time it was very hard.
I bet,
so, but yeah.
One thing the kids had not surprised us and talked us into, she had just recovered from all the last of the radiation. Within a month, we took her to a trip to Europe, and we went through Italy.
We went to Italy and
through all of Rome. We almost walked most of Rome.
Sardinia, that was what I
really Sardinia. I've always wanted to go to Sardinia.
It's amazing.
It is unbelievable.
You would absolutely love it.
Unbelievable.
We almost liked it better than Rome because Rome is it's not touristy. I don't want to say it's touristy, it's not. But it's all the stuff that you've read about. Whereas when you go to Sardinia, there's stuff that people don't know about, and it's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
It was just amazing.
What a great idea. Did you take a boat over there? Did you fly?
We
flew.
Okay.
But Cassie, my daughter, the one you talked to, her best friend was married to a person who lived in Sardinia. So he did remodeling of chateaus and stuff. So we had a villa.
Oh my God!
That we got to stay in for a week, 5 days, and we had one by ourselves, and then they had theirs.
Wow!
And
what a trip!
Oh yeah,
yeah. You
drive through Sardinia, and you think the roads are half the size they are here, and people travel twice as fast.
Exactly.
And it's just. My wife's going, what's wrong? Nothing.
Right.
You just have to drive like a madman.
It did give me a chance to I have a mantra that I have on my tattoo. So
she got a tattoo.
I got a tattoo last year for my 60th birthday, and it says "Be brave." And
all the girls got tattoos.
We all, for my two daughters, my daughter-in-law and I, we all went on my 60th birthday and got tattoos. And I chose to do my ribbon with the "Be Brave" because when we were in Sardinia, there was a lot of things that we'd never done before, and Cassie's big mantra was, "Mom, be brave. Yeah. You've been through radiation. You have cancer. You've been through radiation. You are the bravest person I know. So be brave and take the next step." So we would do that. So every time something would come up that I would be going, I'm not sure whether I want to do this or not, she would go, "Be brave."
So little jet skiffs from Sardinia to some of the outer islands out there, and just the water in the Mediterranean is just unbelievable.
It's beautiful,
out there.
yes.
Awesome.
So
how long were you guys there for?
We were there for 5 days and 3 days in Rome. So
awesome.
so it was great.
We had fun.
We did. We had a wonderful time.
So I want to hear, when you first got diagnosed then with this cancer, how did you take it? Like you...
I was as shocked as she was, because I knew the doctors they call them polyps, is what they were calling it. So she goes, it's just polyps, don't worry about it. So I wasn't worried about it until, when we took her in for her first checkup, where she found out everything. She came up to me and she called me, because I was working at the same store. She goes, I can't make it, I gotta go home. And I had to drive her home because she was too tired. This was only an hour after we got there. And that was the last full day I think that you worked, because she would wake up from sleeping and she says, I'm tired. I'm like, something's wrong. That's just not right. That's when, they did the blood test, and then we got the call. And we thought she was feeling better because she didn't work. She took some time off, and she was feeling a little stronger. Then all of a sudden that hit, and it was never in the equation, never told. It was just like...
We never thought about it.
And all I could think of is, I can't, I've been married for 30 years. I can't lose this. It just went from everything is okay. We were both working full time at the same. We saw each other every day, and it just went.
We take our lunch hours together.
Boom.
We would do and
everything went boom. And had to put it back together and start over again, and just you have to.
Yeah.
We did. There was a lot of
Everybody says, man always dies first, and your wife comes down with cancer. Well, in my mind, I'm not supposed to go before. She's not supposed to go before me. And that was the thing. I was just scared.
Well, we had just been going along like nothing could hurt us.
Exactly.
And then you get this, and you get this diagnosis, and you go, wow, this is really an eye-opener. And so that's what we made a conscious decision to just do everything together. I don't think anybody, I really have very strong feelings and am very impressed by people that go through it on their own. I don't know how they do it, because I couldn't. I really couldn't.
Sometimes it's not choice, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I was going to say, what advice do you have for couples? I read a staggering statistic with regards to breast cancer specifically, because that was the cancer that I was managing, that of those diagnosed with breast cancer that are in relationships, 50% of them end because of the cancer diagnosis.
That wasn't a strong relationship in the beginning.
Well, no, exactly. But it was like that reason where all of a sudden, like, the guy just couldn't, like, he wasn't strong enough to stay for it, right? It's that, and that was like the needle that broke the camel's back, right? It's not because you had cancer that I'm leaving.
Right.
But you know what? I'm leaving now.
I'm out, yeah.
And so, what advice do you have for, and I didn't even know that was a thing, right? So I'm talking to William, and I'm just, I don't know if, again, denial or just like, it didn't even cross my mind that he could potentially break up with me. I was like, how are we getting through this? Like, I have cancer. We're going to figure out a plan. And never once crossed my mind. So what advice do you have for those who are in relationships, a spouse just found out they got cancer? What are the skills or like tactics that you guys had to like really strengthen your time going through all of this?
We're best friends.
Thank you very much. We are best friends.
Yeah,
when we got married
for 4 years before we got married. And I knew I was going to marry her the first time I saw her, which was long before that. But we got together and finally got married. I don't want to not have her around. I mean, and the cancer
we
never
really
was,
are best friends, and our
I
children.
had to get her through it.
It's our children love to tease us because we like
We're
each
too
other so
mushy.
much. We're too mushy. We're too affectionate, and the thing is that.
But even now you're like holding each other.
I know. Well, and the thing is that we have always been there for each other, and we communicate a lot. It's like when we went to have children, he comes from a family where he was the youngest and all of his brothers and sisters. In fact, it's so funny because my mother was the same age of one of his brothers. And so, I'm the oldest of the 6. And so there's like the dynamics are really different. So when we got married and we talked about having children, we said, okay, we need to sit down and discuss this because do we want to wait and have children like your folks did, or do we want to? And my folks were very young when they had all 6 of us, and or do we want to go ahead and have, And we never once we thought, okay, let's just have
See what
children while we're
happens.
young. We have plenty of energy now.
Yes,
You know?
yes.
But then now as grandparents, we think, well,
Glad
we
had
have a
kids
lot
young.
of patience now where we had more energy when the kids were younger, but we have more patience now when the grandkids are
Yeah.
around. So it's like, I don't know, it's kind of a trade-off.
Yeah.
So,
Excellent.
but we do communicate. We have very good communication skills.
Yeah.
He doesn't, and the main thing that I love that he does is he has a sense of humor. And I don't think that we could have gotten through all of what we went through because uterine cancer is so embarrassing in a female sort of way. I mean,
Oh,
you know how women
absolutely.
are, you
Yeah.
know. And he always had a sense of humor. So
have
it's
to.
like, you know, he could tease me about being a radiator, or he could tease me about the diarrhea that comes with the radiation and how I spend 24 hours on a toilet and we couldn't even go to the grocery store. But
I ended up learning how to do all the shopping.
yeah, so, you
I
know.
had to because she couldn't get away from the house. for a
Yeah,
while.
so
Yeah.
it's just a matter of, and I think you have to like each other to do that.
Absolutely.
So, you know,
Yeah, it sounds very
so.
similar to William and I have been together. We're not married, but we've been together for 10 years. We might as well be married. And,
There you go.
you know, I tease him now. I'm like, oh, when are we getting married? He was like, I've been your caregiver through cancer. Do you really think I'm going somewhere now?
Yeah,
Like,
there you go,
know?
yeah.
And we
You get through
totally...
the worst part of it. Come on.
Yeah, there you go, yeah.
And we never owned a TV before. You know, we would read books, we'd do other things, or just, you know, we had our iPads and stuff, but we were just not TV people.
Right.
But when I got my diagnosis, we actually got a TV and got cable because of the humor. He was like, you're going to just be on the couch, you're going to be tired, you need some sort of escapism, but we want to make you laugh.
Yeah.
And so that was something that it was a priority for him.
Right.
To make sure that I'm smiling as often as I possibly could. Even, you know, we have down days, but like
Right.
Oh, yeah.
to smile as often as possible. So that's really great.
I think a sense of humor is really, really important.
Mm-hmm.
Because people even ask us that about how we've been married so long, and I'll say, because we laugh constantly.
Yeah.
And our children, our adult children, are like our best friends.
Yeah.
Because we just have always made them a priority, but not so much of a priority that they come between us. And the kids know that, and they know, you know, and even now with the grandkids, I take care of my grandkids 2 days of the week, and they keep me young. But, you know, and I love them more than anything, but it's Papa. Papa always comes first,
Yeah.
because that's
always
yeah,
comes
and so
Love it.
Yep.
Yep.
Thank you for sharing that beautiful romantic
Oh,
love
you're
story
welcome.
that like kind of touched upon cancer, but it was like gorgeous. I love it. So
Well, thank
inspiring.
you. Thank you.
I know it's going to help so many people listening and
Good.
watching, and that's like really what we do. I started my own foundation, survivingbreastcancer.org, when I was diagnosed with breast cancer because I couldn't find the community that I was looking for. I was looking for the laughter,
Right.
the not slapstick comedy, but the like, this is real, this is hard, I need
yeah.
help. And
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? To be that trailblazer, I'm going to create it. Like if it's not there, and especially now too, like the American Cancer Society is great, which is why we're here at Relay. But then there's not a lot of resources after you've been diagnosed. Like when your doctor says come back in 5 years.
Right.
Like that's great, but there are people too who are like, oh my God, I'm alone. No one's watching me. Like,
Right.
is it going to come back? There's a lot of PTSD associated with it. Like if I had cancer once, can I get a different cancer again? And how do you talk through a lot of those emotional and psychological components?
We go through that every now and then because, like, if I get sick,
Yes.
I mean, I know you know this too. It's like every time you get sick, you go,
She woke up this morning, her head was stuffed up, and she couldn't. She goes, "Oh my God, I got pneumonia. I might have to go back to the doctor and might have cancer."
you know, yeah, but
Oh,
you
No,
know,
you got a plugged up nose.
yeah, you got a plugged up nose,
That's what my
which is what it is,
oncologist told me too. I was like describing all these symptoms. I'm like, it's spread, it's in my lungs, I have
Yeah.
this cough, like my throat hurts.
Welcome to the Willamette Valley.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he's like, it's called allergies.
Yeah.
Like,
This
you're
is
totally
the worst.
fine.
This is the worst valley in the country for allergies.
It is.
It's worse where we live than it is here because here it gets blown out.
Sure.
Where we live back up,
We're in a basin.
We're in a basin, and unless it gets the right northerly wind blowing it down, a lot of the allergies stay there until the wind is just right. And it
And
blows
the
it out.
only reason he knows this is because he's a native Oregonian.
Yes.
So, you know, like, I'm not
I
here.
never had allergies until I was probably 50.
Okay.
And all of a sudden started getting them. I take allergy pills now just to make sure I don't.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know how to manage it, but this valley, I can go anywhere else. As soon as you drive out of this valley, everything, I don't have to take any pills. I don't have to do anything with that
Yeah.
because it just all dries up. But you get back in here, the air is condensed.
Yeah.
And it's all these trees and all the grass. It's all,
And it's beautiful though.
But
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
people, I know what you're. It makes me laugh that you say that
Oh,
because
totally.
it's like I tell everybody, you know, when I get sick, I'm like, oh man, I got to call my doctor because you know I don't. And 5 years ago, when I called Dr. Garrett for my 5th year appointment, and I went in there. Oh, and she is amazing because with she likes to laugh at me because with uterine cancer, sex is a whole big thing, and my doctor would always say when we would go in, because he went to every single appointment with me.
I took her.
And
William went to every single one of mine too.
it was great. And she would say, okay, now you know it is safe to have sex now. She said, how are you guys doing in that department? And he would crack up and he would go, would you like details? You know? And she would go, yes, I would, because you know what? It's part of my job. And I think that her having a sense of humor helped us having a sense of humor. And
Absolutely.
that was the best thing. So
Yes.
I say, knock on wood, that I got very lucky. I had not only had great husband and kids and everything, but I also had wonderful doctors.
Yeah.
And I will never, ever be able to thank them enough. So,
Totally.
you know.
Oh, I know.
because-
I joke a lot in our cancer community. Is like I think all of us secretly have crushes on our oncologist because
Uh-huh.
I'm like, oh yeah, he saved my life. Like,
Yeah.
I like love him. It's just how it is.
Yeah.
And-
I have a female oncologist. That
Okay.
was really funny. And they were my surgeon and my oncologist. Their husbands were heart surgeons, and they were in the same practice together.
Oh.
So like Dr. Garrett would send me to Dr. Gemmel, and Dr. Gemmel would say, okay, now when you go back to see Dr. Garrett, this is what you need to tell her. That, and I said, well, don't you see her on her? She says, yes, but you know, this is a doctor-patient thing. And I said, oh yeah, so.
Absolutely.
But
You
it
have to go
was
through the
so,
patient.
yeah, it was so, they were amazing. And having 2 female doctors was just really, really
Yeah.
amazing for me.
yeah, I'm glad you had
So,
such great care. That's
yeah,
so good to hear.
I am too, so.
Awesome.
Thank you so
Well,
much.
Thanks for
Thank you.
sharing your story.
Well, thank you for interviewing us. It's great.
Absolutely.
This is nice meeting you.
Yes, likewise.
And hopefully we will see you again sometime.
Yes, 100%.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
I'm gonna take it.